All right, diving right in today
Jumping right in?
to a pretty big topic, actually.
Yeah, for sure.
We're going to be looking at the huge role that schools play in shaping the identities of adolescents.
Yeah, really interesting stuff.
Not just, their academic selves, but who they are as people, socially, personally, all of it.
Absolutely. And, it's so fascinating because you, the listener,
Okay.
actually provided us with a ton of awesome material on this.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the most in-depth pieces is this review,
Okay.
The Role of School in Adolescence Identity Development
Mm-hmm.
by Verhoeven, Porthuis, and Volman.
From 2019?
2019, that's right.
So really recent research.
Yeah, cutting-edge stuff.
So our mission today in this deep dive
Okay.
is to pull out the really key insights from this research. It's super comprehensive.
It is.
So we really want to understand the nuts and bolts of how everyday things that happen in education contribute to who these young people become,
Right.
their sense of self, how they see themselves as learners, the whole 9 yards.
And what's really impressive about this review is the sheer scope of it, right? They've analyzed 111 different studies, drawing from all these different fields: psychology, sociology, education, you name it.
So it's a really, really full picture.
It is, yeah. It's really trying to capture the complexity of how identity forms.
Exactly. So we're going to get into that, the nitty-gritty.
Okay.
First, we'll explore the sort of surprising ways that schools can unintentionally shape identity.
Right. The stuff that's not on the syllabus, but it's still happening.
Yeah, exactly. The hidden curriculum.
The hidden curriculum, exactly.
Then we'll flip it and look at what schools can do intentionally to support positive identity growth.
Right. So proactive strategies.
Proactive, and then really importantly, we're going to look at what needs to be in place for those efforts to really work.
Gotcha. The conditions for success.
The conditions for success. All right, so let's just jump right in, shall we?
Let's do it.
What are some of the ways, the unintended ways, that schools leave their mark on identity?
Well, the review points out that even the standard practices, the everyday stuff in schools, can send really powerful messages about kids' abilities and their potential messages that they might not even be aware of, consciously registering.
Oh, wow.
And one key area is selection practices and how schools differentiate students.
Okay.
Through things like ability grouping and tracking.
Yeah, it makes sense that putting students in different academic streams, that would have some impact. But, what does the research actually say?
Right. Well, a lot of the in-depth studies, the ones where researchers actually go into classrooms and observe school life, they found some interesting patterns, for example.
Yeah.
Studies on mathematics classes, ESL programs, even things like wind bands.
Wind bands.
Wind bands, yeah. And even cheerleading squads.
Wow.
All of them kind of suggest that being placed in those, what are often seen as high-status groups.
Right, like the gifted kids or something.
Exactly. That can really boost a student's sense of competence.
Like they belong there.
Yeah, like they belong, and they're good at this.
Interesting.
And think about it. A student might start to see themselves as a natural at science, for example.
Right.
Because they're in that advanced track.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
These placements, they don't just give a sense of being good at something. They also kind of implicitly define what you aren't.
Oh, interesting.
It's like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
And so the flip side is that students in the lower status groups, they can start to feel, inadequate.
Like they don't measure up.
Yeah, or like they're outsiders.
Yeah.
And it's not just about academics either. Research on things like mentioned cheerleading and dance
Right.
show that this can happen in social and even physical domains. So it's affecting their school identity, but also their personal and social identities.
Right. So it's more pervasive than we might think.
Yeah, way more pervasive.
Wow. And it's not just these observational studies, right? There are surveys too, right?
Yeah. So there are these surveys that compare how students in different tracks, like say those preparing for vocational careers versus those headed for university. How they explore their aspirations, their sense of self. And some of these studies found that, for example, students in vocational tracks, they might be less likely to actively explore different career paths.
Really?
Yeah. But here's an interesting twist. One study suggested that when they do think about the future, it might be driven more by fear of limited options.
Oh, interesting.
Rather than like an excitement about possibilities.
Wow.
And the researchers think this might be linked to the stigma that's sometimes associated with those tracks.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so you can see how the system itself can kind of shape their outlook.
Right. It's not just the individual student's mindset. It's like the context they're in.
Exactly. The context matters a lot.
And that distinction is so important that you made. The motivation behind the exploration seems to differ. But, the review does bring up a counter-argument, which is that some researchers say that students in shorter, more vocationally focused tracks might actually develop a clearer sense of identity earlier.
Oh, interesting.
Simply because they have to make those career decisions sooner.
Yeah, it makes sense. They're facing those choices head on.
So it's not as simple as saying, oh, one track is good for identity and one's not.
Not at all. It's way more nuanced.
Much more nuanced.
Yeah, and it gets even more interesting when we start looking at the stereotypes that students themselves and that they believe society holds about people in different tracks. So social psychological research has uncovered some pretty ingrained labels,
Oh, yeah, like what?
Well, for instance, students in pre-university tracks. Often seen as, hardworking, motivated.
Right, the smart kids.
Yeah, the smart kids. While those in vocational tracks might be labeled as lazy or even troublemakers.
Oof. Yeah, those labels can be pretty harsh.
They can be really harsh. And whether those perceptions are accurate or not, they can really seep into how adolescents view themselves.
So even if it's not true, if you're constantly hearing that, you're going to start to believe it.
Exactly. If you're constantly surrounded by the idea, both from peers and maybe even teachers, that people in your track are a certain way, it can be really hard to see yourself differently.
Yeah, you get boxed in.
You get boxed in.
And sociological studies look at how things like being promoted or held back or being placed in mandatory classes, they create these real social status groups within schools.
Yeah, for sure.
But we don't fully understand how deeply those status differences become part of a kid's identity.
Right. That's one of the areas where more research is needed, definitely.
More to uncover there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so the way schools group and categorize students, it sends these unintentional messages.
It does.
But what about something that feels more directly related to learning? Like teaching strategies?
Yeah.
How can the way teachers teach have these unintended consequences on identity?
Well, the review highlights that the methods teachers use, they can subtly but powerfully shape how a student understands a subject. And crucially, their own perceived ability in that area.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, one study, for example, compared two math classes and found that a class that was really focused on individual work and tons of tests.
Pretty traditional.
Yeah, pretty traditional.
Yeah.
That unintentionally communicated that math ability is this fixed trait,
Oh, like you either have it or you don't.
Yeah, you're either good at math or you're not.
Yeah, right.
And this can lead students to develop what's called a fixed mindset. So they think, oh, I'm just not a math person.
Yeah.
And that can be really limiting.
That's fascinating, that idea of a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like the classroom environment can really nurture one or the other.
Absolutely. It's not just about what's being taught. It's also about how it's being taught.
Right.
Now, the other math class in that study, the one that emphasized teamwork, and the idea that you can always improve with effort, that fostered a very different message.
Which is?
The message that everyone can develop their math skills. It's not about innate talent. It's about effort and practice.
Right. Yeah.
So you can see how those two different teaching strategies, even though they're teaching the same subject, can lead to completely different beliefs about whether your abilities are fixed or something you can cultivate.
And that's deeply connected to identity.
Deeply connected to identity, absolutely.
It's not just about mindset either, right?
Right.
Like the review points to other research.
Yes.
Showing that teaching strategies also impact how much opportunity students have to actually participate in the classroom.
That's right, that active engagement piece.
Yeah.
Is crucial.
So if a student's not given chances to contribute, or if the teaching style doesn't allow for different ways of engaging, it can limit their development in that subject.
Absolutely. Studies show that those opportunities to participate, they're crucial for shaping how students act and how they talk about themselves.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like, for instance, if a student is never asked to lead a science experiment, it becomes harder for them to see themselves and for others to see them as someone who's capable in science.
Right.
They haven't had the chance to prove it to themselves or to anyone else.
Yeah, they haven't had that experience.
Exactly. Those moments of engagement, they contribute to their self-perception as competent learners.
Yeah. That makes sense.
If you're always observing from the sidelines,
yeah,
you're less likely to feel that sense of ownership.
to feel competent, to own it.
Exactly.
And it's not just limited to core academic subjects either.
Oh, absolutely not.
Research on art classes suggests that if students aren't given enough freedom for self-expression in their artwork, it can actually discourage them from developing a strong artistic identity.
Makes sense if the curriculum or the teaching style is too rigid, too prescriptive.
Doesn't allow for individual creativity and exploration.
Right.
Students might not come to see themselves as artists, even if they have that genuine interest.
Interesting. Okay, so the way we teach, it's more impactful than we might assume.
It really is.
So, teacher expectations.
Ah, yes. Teacher expectations.
This feels like a really sensitive area.
It is.
With huge potential for impact unintended consequences.
Absolutely.
On a student's sense of self.
Yeah, the review highlights how a teacher's beliefs about their students, they can unintentionally limit or expand the identities those students feel are available to them.
Right.
And research shows that when teachers hold persistent expectations about a student, they might overlook that student's growth and change.
So they might have changed, but the teacher's still seeing them the same way.
Exactly. And that in turn restricts how the student can see themselves within the classroom.
So, for example, if a teacher labels a student as disruptive, they might continue to interact with them in ways that reinforce that behavior. Exactly. Even if the student is trying to engage more positively.
Wow. So it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy playing out in the classroom.
It really can be, yeah. And studies that have looked at students' perceptions of their teachers' expectations, they underscore how deeply these perceived beliefs can be internalized.
Internalized, like they take it on as part of themselves?
They take it on as truth, yeah.
Wow.
One study actually quoted students saying they felt dumb.
Oh, wow.
Because they believed their teachers thought they were.
That's a really powerful finding.
It is, yeah. And it's kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is.
And the research on how teachers implicitly communicate low expectations in subjects like math, that's particularly insightful.
Okay.
Even without explicitly saying it.
Yeah.
A teacher's lack of engagement with a student's struggles, it can signal a lack of belief in their ability to improve.
Wow.
And that can really damage that student's identity as a math learner.
Like the teacher doesn't think I can do it, so why should I?
Right. Exactly. And sociological perspectives add to this. They suggest that teachers can unintentionally create these social groups within the classroom based on their expectations.
Oh, interesting.
And students are very aware of these dynamics.
So they know who the teacher thinks is good at what and who's not.
They pick up on it, for sure.
So it's not just what's being said, it's the nonverbal cues.
Absolutely. All those subtle things.
Wow.
And the review also touches on studies where students may or may not identify with the expectations that teachers explicitly state.
Okay.
So, for instance, just because a teacher expects honor students to be highly motivated,
right,
it doesn't automatically mean that all the students in that class internalize that as part of their identity.
Yeah, they might be good at it, but they don't see themselves that way.
Exactly. Some students might not feel like the type of person the teacher expects, even if they're academically successful.
Right. That's fascinating.
Yeah, and it emphasizes that for teacher expectations to really influence identity, they need to resonate with the student.
Right.
It's not just about what the teacher believes. It's how the student interprets and connects with those beliefs about themselves.
So it's a two-way street.
Absolutely. It's a relationship.
And probably the most concerning finding is that across many studies, there are often inequalities in teachers' expectations based on things like a student's ethnicity, their perceived academic ability, and their gender.
Yeah, that's a really troubling pattern.
It is.
And it suggests that some groups of students might consistently experience lower expectations.
Yeah.
Which can create huge barriers to their development and lead to unequal opportunities.
That's a really, really important point.
It is. We have to be mindful of those biases.
Okay, we've looked at selection practices, teaching strategies, teacher expectations. The last piece of this puzzle of unintentional influences is peer norms.
Right, the power of the peer group.
Exactly. How do the social dynamics among students themselves shape identity?
Well, peer norms are incredibly powerful during adolescence. And the review explains how these dynamics, they can unintentionally either grant or deny access to certain identity positions.
What do you mean?
So, research shows examples of students trying to take on a new identity, say, as someone skilled in a particular area.
Right.
But then they get rejected by their peers because of past reputations. or the existing social hierarchies.
Interesting.
So their social history can almost act as a constraint.
Yeah, like you're not allowed to change.
Exactly. And other studies highlight how peers can actually stigmatize certain identities,
Right.
making them less appealing for adolescents to embrace publicly.
Oh, so they might be interested in something, but they're afraid to show it.
Exactly. Think about students who might hide their enthusiasm for a certain subject or activity for fear of being labeled a nerd or being socially ostracized.
Being left out.
Yeah. And that fear of social consequences, it can prevent them from fully exploring their interests and developing those parts of their identity.
That fear of being different can be such a powerful force.
It is. It's huge, especially during those formative years.
And it's not just academics.
No, not at all.
Research shows that this happens in all sorts of domains, where peer groups can kind of reinforce the idea that certain interests or identities are undesirable or that they belong to a particular stereotype.
Right. And that can really limit exploration.
So peer pressure, it's not just about influencing behavior.
No.
It's also shaping how you see yourself.
Absolutely. What feels safe, what feels acceptable.
So what you're allowed to be.
Exactly. What you're allowed to be within that social world.
Now, on a more positive note, research has also found that when a school has a strong, positive reputation among the students, students tend to identify more strongly with the school and with learning.
That's interesting.
So if they feel like their school is cool, basically.
Yeah, if it's viewed positively by their peers.
If they feel a greater sense of belonging.
Yeah, and they might develop a more positive academic identity.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so we've covered all these unintentional ways that schools can influence identity.
The hidden curriculum, all those subtle things.
And now let's turn to the intentional side.
Right, the proactive stuff.
How can schools and teachers actively support positive identity development?
Well, this is where we move from understanding the hidden curriculum to looking at deliberate strategies that schools can put in place. And the review highlights 3 main categories of these intentionally designed learning experiences.
All right, hit me.
They call them in-breadth exploration, in-depth exploration, and reflective exploration.
Okay, so 3 types of exploration. Let's start with in-breadth. What exactly does that involve?
In-breadth exploration, it refers to experiences that introduce adolescents to totally new things. Subjects, activities, ways of seeing themselves that they might not have encountered before.
So broadening their horizons.
Yeah, broadening their horizons, exactly. The goal is to spark new interests, open up possibilities they hadn't even considered. And both theoretical work and a bunch of real-world studies support this idea that these kinds of experiences can be really effective. At prompting new avenues for identity exploration.
So, like, what would that actually look like in a school?
Well, imagine a school that offers a really diverse range of extracurricular clubs or workshops. Things like coding, debate, creative writing, even community gardening.
So stuff outside the regular classes.
Exactly, yeah. By participating in these activities, adolescents are exposed to new skills, new ideas, new social groups. And that can lead them to discover hidden talents or interests.
I didn't know I was good at this.
Yeah, exactly. Or, hey, I really enjoy this.
Right.
And then maybe they start to see themselves in a new light. You know?
Yeah, like I'm a coder or...
I'm a coder, I'm a debater, I care about the environment.
Right.
The key is often making these experiences hands-on and connected to the real world.
So it's not just theoretical, they're actually doing something.
They're doing something, yeah. And the review emphasizes that this in-breadth exploration, it can be super valuable for adolescents from marginalized backgrounds.
Okay, how so?
Well, they might have had limited exposure to certain opportunities. And so introducing them to new skills and experiences, it can help them discover talents they didn't know they had. And build confidence in relation to identities that might have seemed out of reach.
So it's about providing those initial sparks.
Exactly, those sparks.
That can ignite new passions, new self-perceptions.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Now, what about in-depth exploration?
Okay, so in-depth exploration.
How is that different from this broader exposure?
So in-depth exploration focuses on allowing kids to delve deeper into areas where they already have some interest. Or a developing sense of self.
So they already kind of know what they like.
Yeah, they've got a starting point. It's about providing opportunities to further explore and refine those existing identities.
Gotcha. So building on what's already there.
Exactly, building on what's already there. And research shows that when students have a chance to engage with related content and activities over time, it can really strengthen their identification in that area.
So if a student already likes science, in-depth exploration would be what, like more complex experiments?
Yeah, more complex experiments, maybe participating in science competitions.
Okay.
Maybe even shadowing professionals working in STEM fields.
So really immersing themselves in that world.
Exactly. Think of like a multi-year science program that offers increasingly challenging projects.
Oh, cool.
And opportunities to specialize in different scientific disciplines.
Right.
Through these experiences, they're not just deepening their knowledge, they're also learning more about what aspects of science truly resonate with them.
So finding their niche within that broader field.
Exactly. They might discover, for example, that they're particularly drawn to marine biology or astrophysics, and that further shapes their identity as a science enthusiast.
Right.
And again, hands-on learning and real-world connections, they're crucial here for solidifying those identity commitments.
Gotcha. And it sounds like role models would play a big role in this in-depth exploration.
Huge role, yeah. The literature suggests that role models can be incredibly influential.
In what way?
Well, in showing adolescents that certain identity paths are actually achievable.
Okay.
Especially for those who might face societal stereotypes.
Right.
Or lack representation in those fields.
So seeing someone like them.
Yeah, see someone they can identify with.
Who's succeeding?
Succeeding in that area.
That can be really inspiring.
It can provide so much inspiration and encouragement.
Yeah. To
further explore that identity.
So it's not just about the subject itself, it's seeing that it's possible for you.
Exactly. It's about possibility.
But, it's important to remember that for a role model to be truly effective, students need to see them as credible.
Absolutely, as genuinely expert in their field.
So it's not just about having a teacher in that subject.
Right.
It's about the student believing that that teacher really knows their stuff.
Exactly. They need to have that perceived authority and authenticity.
Gotcha. So the role model needs to be the real deal.
They got to be the real deal.
Okay, we've covered in-breadth and in-depth exploration. What about this third type, reflective exploration?
All right, so reflective exploration.
What is that all about?
It involves creating opportunities for adolescents to think critically about their current understanding of themselves, their values, their place in the world.
So introspection.
Introspection, exactly.
Okay.
And this might involve things like journaling, participating in discussions about complex social issues, or even analyzing their own learning processes.
So really looking inward.
Looking inward, yeah.
Okay.
The goal is to encourage that deeper understanding of their own identities.
So to make sense of who they are.
Yeah, exactly. To make sense of who they are.
Okay. And research shows that this is valuable.
Yeah. Research highlights the value of these internal dialogues.
In what way?
Well, they help adolescents clarify their interests, their values, their aspirations.
So figuring out what they want.
Yeah, figuring out what matters to them, what they're drawn to.
And it's not just looking inward, right?
Right. It's also about understanding how their social and cultural context shapes their identity.
So how the world around them influences who they become.
Exactly. And that awareness can empower them to navigate societal norms.
To make their own choices.
Make their own choices, yeah.
And the review points to research that suggests that this kind of critical self-awareness, especially around issues of social inequality, can foster resilience.
It can, especially for adolescents who might be at risk of marginalization.
So by understanding those issues, they can develop a stronger sense of self.
Exactly. By engaging in activities that encourage them to question those dominant narratives, to understand their own position within society, they can develop a stronger sense of agency and self-efficacy.
So they feel more in control.
More in control, more empowered.
That sounds incredibly valuable.
It is. It's really about equipping them with the tools to navigate the world.
Okay, so we've explored the unintentional influences.
The hidden curriculum.
And the intentional strategies.
The proactive stuff.
But what are the conditions that need to be in place for those intentional efforts to really work?
Right. What makes all this possible?
Exactly. What are the must-haves?
Well, the review identifies two really crucial preconditions.
Okay.
Learning experiences that students find meaningful.
Okay.
And a classroom climate that feels truly supportive.
Okay, so meaningful experiences and a supportive environment.
Those are the key ingredients.
All right, let's break those down. What makes a learning experience meaningful for adolescents?
Well, the research consistently shows that they find learning meaningful when they can connect it to their own lives.
Okay.
Their interests, their knowledge outside of school.
So it has to be relevant to them.
Relevant. Yeah, they need to see the connection. When they can see themselves reflected in the curriculum, when they understand why what they're learning matters to their own experiences and aspirations.
So it can't be just abstract concepts. It has to relate to their world.
Exactly. It has to bridge the gap between their current sense of self and the school content.
Okay.
And when that happens, they're more engaged, more willing to explore further.
It makes sense. If it feels relevant to you, you're going to be more interested.
Absolutely. And the review highlights strategies like giving students more say in the topics they study.
Okay.
Creating opportunities for classroom discussions that explicitly link school learning to the personal lives.
Right. Those real-world connections.
Those real-world connections, exactly.
But meaningful learning doesn't always mean easy learning, right?
Right. Sometimes it means grappling with challenging ideas that push their current understanding.
Okay.
They can also be deeply meaningful.
Right. It's about stretching them a bit.
Stretching them, yeah, helping them refine their perspectives and develop a more nuanced sense of self.
So it's about sparking that intrinsic motivation, showing them the relevance, even if it's tough.
Exactly. That's where the real growth happens.
Okay. And the second key condition is a supportive classroom climate.
That's right.
What are the crucial elements of that?
A supportive classroom climate, it's all about creating a sense of safety, respect, and appreciation.
Okay.
It's about giving students the space to take risks, explore new ideas, and express different parts of their identity.
So they feel comfortable being themselves.
Exactly. When students feel respected for who they are and who they're trying to become.
Yeah.
And when they feel secure enough to make mistakes without fear of judgment.
Right. That's huge.
It is. It creates an environment where they can really engage in identity exploration.
Because let's be honest, exploring your identity, it can be scary.
It can be very scary. It involves vulnerability.
So having that support is crucial.
It's essential.
And what about interactions with peers?
Yeah, those are really important too.
So how can those be supportive?
Well, a supportive climate includes open-minded interactions with peers.
Right, so it's not just the teacher, it's the whole classroom dynamic.
Exactly. It's about fostering a sense of community.
Where everyone feels safe to share, to be themselves.
Exactly, a space where vulnerability is accepted and where students feel like they belong.
Okay, so how do we actually create this kind of climate?
Well, the review offers some concrete suggestions.
Okay.
Positive teacher-student relationships.